This is the continuation of Luminous by Sokka's First Fangirl on AO3. This is Chapter 12, titled The Next Steps. Most of the rooms they passed had archways, not doors, but when they reached the royal family's rooms, doors began to appear. There were more guards present. Muzu opened a pair of midnight blue double doors, and they all stepped into a spacious chamber. Dorephan had to stoop to cross the threshold. This room was clearly not built for a man his size. Dorephan could comfortably stand once they were in the room, but all the furniture was, well, of normal size. Everything was in shades of blue and silver. There was a spacious double bed, piled high with pillows against one wall. At the foot of the bed was a Zora sleeping pool, large and round in shape. A crystal chandelier hung from the ceiling. Unlike most of the windows Link saw on the way here, these arched windows actually had window panes, white silk curtains, and glass double doors that led to a delicately carved balcony. There was artwork on the walls, watercolor paintings of beautiful cliffsides and waterfalls, an oil painting in bold colors of the night sky. There was a ridiculously large wardrobe and a pair of vanities all close together. There was a seating area in front of the windows, a plush sofa, 2 armchairs and a low table. A few bookshelves, painted silver. A small statue of Hylia on a table against the far wall in a ring of unlit candles. Near the wardrobe was a screen to change behind. There was another, smaller door on the wall opposite the bed and sleeping pool. A bathroom, Link immediately supposed. What else would they need? Everything else was already in this room. Gently, Dorephan set Link and Sidon down. Link stared at the room before him and... Mipha floated in the sleeping pool. Link lay sideways on the end of the bed, reaching down to hold her hand. "You'll get pins and needles," she giggled. "Don't care," Link mumbled, half asleep. It wasn't often that she truly needed to sleep in water, but Zora needed certain moisture levels to stay healthy and hydrated. Whenever Mipha needed to be in her pool and not their bed, Link would curl up on the end of the bed and stay as close as possible. "Your Grace?" Muzu sounded worried. "Are you well? You've gone so pale." "I'm fine," Link said, dazed. "You get dried off, son," Dorephan said, gently nudging Link towards the thin single door. "Sidon, will you wait here? Muzu, would you help me find Baz? I have need of him." He smiled at Link. "He'll be thrilled to see you." Link didn't have the faintest idea who Baz was. Clearly he'd known him before, though. He shivered, soaked to the bone. A chill was starting to set in. Dorephan had a point. He needed to dry off. Link hurried away and prayed he wouldn't drown in the bath if another memory hit him. He shut the door behind him and leaned against it, wondering if he'd just faint anyway. He felt like he was floating, like he was dreaming. It didn't feel quite right. He was really here in Zora's domain, just like that. He was here with people that knew him. This was where he had lived, once upon a time. This was the room he and Mipha shared. Dorephan was here and happy to see him. Sidon was all grown up, towering over Link, easily 3 times bigger than him. Muzu, Link had to admit the name didn't ring a bell. Still, he seemed nice. As for Dorephan, Link admittedly didn't remember him, but the king made him feel safe. Even safer than Impa had. It was surreal. "Come on, calm down," he thought. "Get a grip, deep breaths. You can handle this." Link was right. The second room was a bathroom. He still felt on edge, a little lightheaded, nauseous. It turned out that floating in a large bath made him think of the Shrine of Resurrection, and that whole notion made him feel sick to his stomach. He washed up and dried off as quickly as he could, tense as a bowstring, half hoping for, and half dreading, another memory. Nothing came to mind, no flashes. He wasn't sure how to feel about that. A thick robe hung on the door, Link's exact size. He pulled it on, and it didn't feel quite right. It must have been his, but it felt like a stranger's. He glanced uncertainly at his wet clothes in a pile on the floor, and tightly held onto the Sheikah slate. Okay, was there a laundry basket? Yes, thank goodness. He felt absurdly guilty for leaving his things on the ground. he could clean up after himself. It's just clothes. Calm down, he told himself as he put the wet clothes in the basket. Still, he hated the idea of causing any trouble. Then again, Zora didn't wear clothes, just jewelry. A few of them wore sashes. Well, no big deal. He just asked for cleaning supplies later. When he emerged into the main room, Sidon was sitting on one of the armchairs by the windows and looking out at the view. Sidon looked up when he entered and smiled. He opened his mouth, but before he could speak, there was the sound of hurried footsteps. A woman cried, "Out of the way! Move it! I'm using old friend privileges!" Sidon laughed. "Ah," he said. "It looks like Coda's heard the news." "Who?" Link asked. The double doors burst open, and a woman half ran and half stumbled into the room. A little Zora girl was just behind her, gaping. Whether she was shocked to be in the palace or shocked by the woman's behavior, Link couldn't say. The woman was tall. Her scales were a rich pink. She wore a thick silver necklace with aquamarine pendants and a matching belt, studded with aquamarine gems the size of Link's fist. Her silver anklets were thin, and she wore a charm bracelet. She was out of breath, bent over double, and wheezing against her knees. "I'm not built for sprinting," she gasped. "Mother!" The little girl giggled, eyes wide with astonishment. "Hello, Coda," Sidon said cheerfully. The woman, Coda, stood up straight as her breathing calmed down. Her grin was bright and sweet. "Prince Sidon," she said with a respectful nod of her head. Her grin widened and her eyes watered when she spotted Link. "Hey, Lenny," she said more gently. "Long time no see." Link found himself in a strange position. He sat at one of the vanities while Coda insisted on helping him comb the tangles from his hair. Sidon kept her daughter, Finley, entertained. He told her all about searching for a Hylian. Finley certainly seemed interested, earnestly asking if they'd had to fight any monsters. "Don't let her height fool you," Coda said to Link. "She's already 39, due to hit her growth spurt soon." She lowered her voice and added, "She's worried she won't. Her father hit his growth spurt late. Finley's worried she'll be the same." "Nothing wrong with being short," Link said. Coda snorted, slapping him on the shoulder. "You'd know," she said. There was a knock on the doors. Finley rushed to open them, revealing a pair of flustered-looking servants carrying towels. They gasped when they saw Link and bowed so deeply they were practically bent in half. "Oh, great," Coda said. "I nearly forgot Hylians need those things." She went to the servants, took the towels, and began to shoo them away, kindly, but firmly. Sidon seemed greatly amused by her attitude, catching Link's eye and grinning. "Well then, Lenny," Coda said, marching back to him. "You probably have a lot of questions, right? Do you remember much?" Link had dozens of questions. Hundreds. So many questions, all differing levels of importance. And yet, he started by signing. "You keep calling me Lenny?" Coda giggled and dumped the towels on his lap. "Oh, I started calling you that when we were kids," she said. "Cute, right? Never could break the habit." "Are you really Prince Link?" Finley asked. Link nodded and she whispered, "Wow." While Link towel-dried his hair, Sidon went back to telling Finley the story of our most heroic search. Coda sat at the vanity next to Link's. Mifa's vanity, surely. She looked thoughtful. Her smile was kind. "Well then," she said, "why don't I just explain things and you ask questions when anything comes to mind?" That sounded better. He'd prefer someone else to do most of the talking. So Coda told him all about herself, how they met when Link's father was posted at the domain, hunting a pack of Lynels with a group of Hylian knights and Zora knights. Link had just started training under his father's watch, only 4 years old. "You were a hyper little thing," Coda said fondly. "Baz snatched you right up for the big bad Baz brigade. He was so proud of himself. You two sparred with sticks all the time. Then there was Gaddison. She's a guard now, too. She was the quiet one, but you didn't want to get on her bad side. Still don't. She can be scary. Then there's me, of course." Coda gestured to herself with a smirk. "You can see how amazing I am." Link grinned, biting back a laugh. Coda's own grin widened. "Caden, he's my husband now. Oh, bless him. I used to tease him all the time. He was a bit of a scaredy cat and such a dork. Riven, you might have seen him on your way in, actually. He guards the bridge with his daughter Dunma. Oh, he's so proud of her. You and Riven always loved swimming together. He's the one who showed you how to swim underwater. And last but not least, Mifa. A flash of grief crossed Coda's face. Finley looked away from Sidon, watching Link and Coda. Do you remember her at all? A little, Link said quietly. Not much. Not nearly enough. I need to know more. Coda looked sympathetic. Sidon looked grief-stricken. Well, you met her first, Coda said. Your mother was exploring the domain with you, and Mifa was training with Segin. You wanted to watch. Mifa spotted you and asked you to join her. Zora aged more slowly and lived long lives. Even without amnesia, Link doubted he'd remember this story. But Mifa? She would have remembered. He wondered if she told this story often. Mifa, let's see. LaFlatte always described her by saying she was as beautiful as she was kind. She was the best healer the Zora had in hundreds of years, and her spear work was beyond reproach. She was in a class of her own. The soldiers she'd healed then are retired now, Sidon said with a faraway look in his eyes. So many years have passed, but they still speak of her with reverence. Link twisted the damp towel between his hands. Mifa sounded amazing. What had she seen in him? Coda picked up the comb again and gestured for Link to face forward towards the mirror again. He did, and she went to work on his hair, combing it and pulling twists of it back off his face, fiddling with strands and pouting as she tried to decide on a style. I wonder. Finley, love, can you check the wardrobe? The jewelry boxes should still be in there. Finley pulled a big silver box from the wardrobe, handling it carefully. She placed it on the vanity so gently, as if it was made of glass. Coda flicked the box open and hummed happily. The box was full of hair ornaments, earrings, and bracelets. She pulled out a dainty sapphire pin, delicately carved to resemble a cluster of stars, all held together by barely visible silver wire. What do you think? She asked, holding it up for Link's inspection. Smiling, Coda went back to work on Link's hair, braiding small sections back and holding them together at the back of his head with a pin. The rest of his hair fell loose, still a little damp. How do you know how to do this? Oh, easy. You let me style your hair when we were kids. Then your sister did too when you brought her here. Your mother even let me try once. Her grin was a little sheepish in the mirror. Honestly, I wasn't sure I'd remember how to do this. I think you were 14 the last time I helped. I always thought Hylian hair was amazing. His sister, Errol. His mother. His father had been here too. What were their names? He asked. He opened his mouth, but his voice didn't want to cooperate. He considered grabbing the slate, but Coda plainly knew sign. My parents, I know Errol. Coda's expression softened. As if from far away, Link heard Sidon tell Finley about the moment Leto led Link to him. Your father was Roland, she said gently. Your mother was Irma. Roland and Irma Hollow. Link Hollow. It felt like thinking of someone else entirely, a different boy, a mystery. Roland, Irma, Link, Errol. He knew from the pictures on the slate that he looked like his mother, but had his father's eyes. Errol looked exactly like Irma, right down to the gray eyes, though she was a little paler. You had a grandmother and uncle, Coda continued, but I never met them. Do you know their names? Afraid not, Coda admitted with a sigh. I don't remember. One last thing to ask Impa or Purr about. Or maybe Dorephan knew. But what about you, brother? Sidon suddenly asked. You said you had help getting here. It's a long story, Link signed. He glanced at Finley, who looked lost whenever he used sign, and picked up the slate. He used the new feature to tell them everything. Since he had to type the sentences themselves, Simmons' voice sounded more stilted, but it got the job done. I heard Zelda when I woke up. So she's okay? Sidon asked worriedly. I'm not sure. She sounds exhausted. He explained finding the locket among the clothes left behind for him. He still hadn't taken it off, not even while he was bathing. When he mentioned Rome, they all looked stunned. Sidon winced. Maybe don't mention him to Muzu, he suggested. He's not a fan. Neither am I. Some things never change, Coda giggled. He told them about Impa and Paya, Kakariko Village, and Kotera. He told them about reaching Hateno. They looked horrified when he told them about the Guardian activating, and all three of them burst out laughing when he told them about Purah. How did she even do that? Sidon cackled. Oh dear, the poor woman. She's a menace, Simmons' voice said, which sent Sidon off laughing all over again. Coda, still giggling helplessly, went to the wardrobe and started looking through the clothes. Keep going, Linny, she said with a wave of her hand. I'm listening. Meanwhile, Dorephan called for his council and guards. They all gathered in the throne room, brimming with excitement, whispering to each other. Welcome, Dorephan said once everyone was present. I'm sure you're aware by now of the wonderful news I have to share. It's true then, Your Majesty, a council member, old Lord Neptune, asked. Everyone was watching, full of anticipation. Prince Link has returned. Indeed he has, Dorephan said, smiling broadly. He doubted he could frown if he'd been paid to. Sidon and his friends found him. I do not yet have all the details of their meetings, but rest assured it is truly him. The throne room erupted in applause and cheers. He even saw some of the guards and council weep. Baz looked elated. Baz, Dorephan called, waving him forward. Attend. Yes, Your Majesty. Baz marched forward and fell to one knee. Captain Baz, Dorephan said, you are a strong and courageous young man. You guarded the Great Plateau for many years and led your men with wisdom when you could not. Thank you, Your Majesty, Baz said. I have an important task for you, Captain. Link is Hylia's chosen. Sooner or later, he must face his destiny. I would ask you to guard him in his travels. Choose a second guard to accompany you. I trust your judgment for who will be best suited to this task, but I want you to keep Link safe. Baz lifted his gaze from the floor, his golden eyes full of determination. It would be my honor, Your Majesty, he said firmly, gripping his spear tightly. I will protect Link with my life. Your Majesty, Muzu protested. Sire, Prince Link has just returned. He could not possibly face the calamity now. Muzu was not the only unhappy one. King Dorephan, the calamity is at bay, Lady Harmony cried. Prince Link should stay here. Princess Mipha would curse us forever if we let him go. This is no longer a Zora problem. Ganon's trapped in the castle. Let him stay there. Majesty, does he even remember his destiny? We couldn't possibly send him into battle. What would Princess Mipha think? Enough, Dorephan bellowed. Stunned, everyone fell silent. It was rare for Dorephan to raise his voice at all, let alone roar so loudly. The room seemed to shake with the force of it. The next person to try to speak for Mipha will be forcibly removed from the throne room. Do I make myself clear? No one spoke, but there were nods of assent. Many of them looked petrified. Baz glared at the more vehement protesters. Muzu lowered his head, chastened. We cannot stop fate, Dorephan snapped. This is not a Zora problem. Do you hear yourselves? Do we no longer live in Hyrule? Ganon will not simply leave with a polite farewell. But he is... One of the knights, young Reed, began to speak, but fell silent when Dorephan turned to him. Ganon will not be trapped forever, Dorephan said. Zelda is a descendant of Hylia, yes, but she is still a mortal girl. One girl against the incarnation of malice, rage, and hatred. It's a blessing she's lasted this long. Least she could do, someone muttered. Dorephan didn't see who, but he slammed his fist down on the edge of his throne. He hit it so harshly that the water around him shivered. Cease these insults, he demanded, and listen to me. You can protest all you wish, but it will not change the facts. Do you think I am happy to send Link against Ganon? Of course not. If I had it my way, I would keep him here with me. If I could, I would keep him safe and home where he belongs, but I cannot. He glared around at them all. I will not doom the world for my own selfish desires. Besides, Baz spoke up, smirking, I'd like to see any of you stop Link. Riven snorted. Dunma elbowed him, looking mortified. Gaddison was smirking just as much as Baz. Torafu smiled at the ground. Knight Torafu, Dorephan called to her. She looked up, her smile vanishing to be replaced with a calm mask. Yes, Your Majesty? You and your friends will be honored for your part in bringing Link home, he promised. You have done your domain a great service. She bowed low, one hand on her heart. Some people glanced at her enviously. Others looked grateful. We will make a formal announcement, Dorephan said, as the royal family, but I, of course, will not stop you from informing your friends and families. As soon as Link is ready, we will. Father, Sidon's voice came from the stairs. His son descended into the throne room, followed by Link. Coda and Finley were right behind them. Coda had a reassuring hand on Link's back. No longer a soaked traveler, Link looked like the prince he was. A vision in a sleeveless sapphire silk tunic, embroidered with silver thread. His hair was loose around his shoulders, pinned back off his face. His silver bracelets were connected by flowing turquoise fabric that draped behind him, swaying with his every movement. He smiled shyly at Dorephan, shooting everyone else a wary glance. The Sheikah slate shone at his hip. Sidon was beaming with joy, a hand on Link's shoulder. Young Finley looked very proud to be included in the little entourage. Gasps rang out. While many Zora immediately knelt, some seemed too stunned to move. Baz stood slowly, grinning widely. Riven looked at the council nervously, his eyes darting to Link like he expected he'd have to jump between them. Indeed, Lady Harmony took a step forward, but Muzu quietly stopped her with a shake of his head and a narrow-eyed scowl. If you would all grant us some privacy, Dorephan said, I wish to speak to my sons. Muzu, remain. The council and guards all left, albeit reluctantly. Baz, Gaddison, and Riven kept glancing back at Link. Link, still wary, but plainly curious, gave them a small wave. Baz's grin widened, his eyes brightened. Riven looked relieved, and Gaddison waved goodbye. No doubt, Riven would race to tell Trello and Baz would tell Segan. Dorephan couldn't blame them in the least. Maybe it would finally distract Segan from the shock arrows. The poor man was going to severely injure himself at this rate. I'll see you later, Coda said to Link and led Finley away. Well now, my boys, Dorephan said, before we make our announcement to the domain, we must speak as family. Link, what do you know of Vah Ruta? I know Mifa was her pilot, he said quietly. She's the cause of the rain. He raised his chin, shoulders back, as determined as ever. Zelda left instructions for me. She said I need to free Ruta from Ganon's control. So it was Calamity Ganon behind all this. Dorephan knew it, but it still felt different to hear it confirmed aloud by someone else. I'm not sure how to do that, Link admitted. We have an idea, Sidon told him. You see, Father remembered Princess Zelda's research on the divine beasts. According to her, the orbs on Ruta's shoulders control the water she generates, but they require electricity to work. As an aquatic race, we cannot handle electricity. Segan has some tolerance, Dorephan said, but alas, he cannot handle more than one arrow, and even that is just for a moment. He managed to shoot one of the orbs, and the water temporarily slowed, but... With a sigh, he gestured outside towards the relentless rain. Well, we clearly need to get more than one under control. We believe that they're out of control because there's no electricity running through them, and no one can get too close or else Ruta attacks. That's why I went in search of a Hylian to help, Sidon said with his signature charming grin. Muzu was silent. He did not look happy. Our plan was that I would carry a Hylian warrior out to Ruta, and the warrior would hit the orbs with enough shock arrows to get them working again, Sidon explained. Then, hopefully, the rain will cease. Link considered it, rubbing at the back of his neck as he thought. Okay, he said, and Muzu made a horrified noise. The little prince grinned. Yeah, let's do it. Sidon clapped his hands together in glee and punched the air with a cheer of, Yes, let us fight together. Link's smile, however quickly, faded. It will stop the rain, but it won't free Ruta, unless... He looked outside, eyes narrowed. Is there a way inside Ruta? Muzu's eyes widened, and he swayed alarmingly. You can indeed enter Vah Ruta, Dorephan said. You did many times in the past. Only the champions could enter the divine beasts. Ruta would never allow myself or Sidon inside. I thought Ruta didn't like me, Sidon said with a sheepish grin. Dorephan so clearly remembered Sidon's wails of, Ruta's mean! And Mipha's bafflement that Vah Ruta wouldn't allow any of her friends, her father or brother to enter, not even when Mipha was by their side. Later, they found out it was the same for all the divine beasts. Apparently, Urbosa gave Naboris quite the scolding, but Naboris still wouldn't allow her sister, Dara, to enter. There was a connection between the champions and divine beasts, something beyond technology, something magical. It was as if their very souls were bound, like Link and the Master Sword. The Master Sword, which was nowhere in sight. One step at a time, Dorephan reminded himself. We must appease Ruta first. And if the divine beasts are freed, Sidon said to Link, they may yet prove useful in sealing Ganon away. Link smiled, eyes lightening. He looked so ready to spring into action, so curious, so ready for an adventure. Slow down, my boys, Dorephan said fondly. Before you go racing for Ruta, you will need shock arrows. He looked expectantly at Muzu. His old friend looked perfectly horrified. Muzu, Dorephan prompted. You were tasked with searching for the arrows. Did you find them? Muzu did not answer. He seemed on the verge of fainting. Sidon's smile faltered at Muzu's continued silence. Link's eyebrows furrowed, a small frown on his face. Your Majesty, Muzu said hoarsely, I could not possibly... Muzu, Dorephan's concern grew. What is it? Muzu stared at Link. His eyes flickered to the archway, the courtyard, to Mipha and Link's memorial statue. His hands trembled, and he tried to hide them behind his back. He suddenly seemed ancient and frightened. Come now, old friend, Dorephan said, attempting a laugh. Surely whatever you have to say cannot be so terrible. It is all right if you did not find them, Sidon said gently. We can search together instead. It's not that, Muzu said. He looked at Link again, old grief in his eyes and fresh worry. We must search for another Hylian. What? Sidon frowned, arms crossed. Link's eyes narrowed. Why? He demanded, hands on his hips. I'm right here. I can handle it. No. Muzu shook his head vehemently. No, absolutely not. I will not be responsible for sending you into danger. Your Grace, Princess Mipha. His voice broke, and he closed his eyes. She would never forgive me. Muzu, she would understand, Dorephan said gently. I don't like it either, old friend, but Link has always been a warrior. You know this. Mipha knew this very well. She was a warrior too, Link said. Muzu opened his eyes, so weary, so terribly sad. Ruta bellowed, and Muzu flinched. If she was here, Link trailed away. For a moment he looked uncertain, biting his lip. If she was here, she'd fight with me. I know she would. Indeed she would. There would be no stopping her. The goddesses themselves could not stop Mipha from fighting at Link's side. A command from Lord Jabu Jabu would not keep her away. Muzu, we don't have much more time, Sidon said. We must act. We do not have time to search for another Hylian. And I'm the only one who can go inside, Link said. Maybe someone else could shoot the arrows, but I still need to get in there sooner or later. He took a step closer to Muzu, meeting the old Zora's tired gaze. Please, Link said quietly, and Muzu crumpled. I found a cache of shock arrows, he said, his voice still hoarse, like every word was a battle. But, my prince, you must guard yourself well. He took a deep breath and walked across the throne room, gesturing for Link to follow him to the windows. When Link was at his side, Muzu pointed into the distance. You see that mountain over yonder? He asked. That is Ploymus Mountain. There, you will find Shatterback Point. Dorephan's heart stopped, and a wave of dread washed over him. Sidon looked horrified. A Lionel has made its home up there, Musu continued. A fierce beast with a cache of shock arrows. It will attack anything that comes close, even other monsters. Even a single shock arrow could be fatal to Azora. Link did not look horrified. He seemed curious, like this was a tutoring session, listening carefully to Muzu's every word. Muzu lowered his arms, sighing. He turned to Link, eyes shining with worry. He is indeed a man-beast, Sidon said faintly. His enthusiasm was replaced with horror. He looked at Link like he wanted to drag him back upstairs and hide him away. Dorephan knew the feeling. He felt sick. Link did not have the Master Sword. He lacked his memories. Oh, his boy was a prodigy, always had been. But could Dorephan truly send him after a Lionel? The beasts breathed fire. They were among the most fierce monsters alive. Link had killed many Lionels in the past, but that was when he was in peak condition. But now? Now. Link did not look afraid. He was the picture of determination, a fierce little thing, a force of nature in his own right. And was Dorephan seeing things, or did something on Link's clenched fist just flash gold? He sat up straighter with a growing sense of awe, a gold flash. No, surely not. Surely Link did not yet have control of the Triforce of Courage. I'll do it, Link said firmly. There was a shimmer of gold in his eyes, unmistakable. I'll get the shock arrows, we'll calm Ruta, and then I'll do whatever it takes to free her from Calamity Ganon. Through all the horror, Dorephan felt a stab of pride. Spoken like Farore's child, he said fondly. I know you will prevail, Sidon said, though his voice shook. He took a deep breath and smiled at Link. I know you will, he said more firmly. I have every faith in you. Your Grace, surely we can find someone else, Muzu tried one last time. Dorephan could not blame him. If anything, he appreciated it. Link shook his head. It has to be me, he said. How right he was. It always seemed to come down to Link. First things first, Dorephan said. Let us announce you return to the domain, and then, my boy, you will need to go back to your room and change. He smiled weakly. In order to reach Ploymus Mountain, you must ascend the waterfall. Ascend it? Link looked mystified. Indeed, and for that, you will need your engagement armor. Only Link could look excited by the prospect. Despite his missing memories, he still grinned. Link, only 15, counted his arrows and adjusted the Master Sword's sheath. Well then, he said with a sharp grin, I'm going Lionel hunting. As soon as he left the throne room, Mipha ran after him, trident in hand. Muzu sputtered and stammered for someone to stop her, but Dorephan only let out a stunned laugh. He wasn't surprised when they returned triumphant, exhausted but elated. Dorephan found it in himself to return Link's smile. I trust you, dear boy, he said. The simple truth of it, he would always trust Link. Link only half listened to Dorephan's speech, standing there and getting pelted by the cold rain. Sidon had a hand on his shoulder, and Link resisted the urge to dart behind him as everyone gathered below applauded and cheered. Even above all the noise, he heard Coda, Yeah, Linny! He barely bit back a laugh, ducking his head to hide his grin. He liked her. He trusted her. He didn't remember her, but he trusted her all the same. On either side of the royals, the guards stood in 2 straight lines. Riven from the bridge stood with a black-scaled Zora man and a Zora woman with opalescent scales. The black-scaled Zora wore armor more elaborate than the rest. Dorephan called Leto, Tula, Groove, and Torafu forward, and the crowd cheered even louder. They were promised a substantial gift of rupees and places in Dorephan's court. Link's gaze wandered to the statue of him and Mipha below. He could only see the back of it, but he couldn't look away from it once he did. Mipha, he thought. I don't know if you can hear me, but I have no idea what I'm doing. But I'm going to do it anyway. I'll free Ruta. I'll stop Ganon, and I'm so sorry I couldn't save you." Despite the freezing rain, despite the darkness, the Zora were elated. They cheered his name as if he'd done something amazing. Thank Hylia he wasn't expected to make a speech. They seemed content enough when he waved in acknowledgement. Their cheers grew louder, practically deafening. Sidon leaned down so Link could hear him speak. Lionels are incredibly fast and strong. Their hearing is beyond compare. Keep your distance and move as quickly as you can. Try not to engage it in battle if you can. I'll wait for you at the East Reservoir Lake, and then we will strike Ruta together. Link nodded, determined, itching to start. "Sounds like a plan," he said. "We're going to stop this." As if she heard him, Ruta roared. The rain fell even harder, damn near torrential. "Have it your way," Link thought, glaring towards the dam. "Bellow all you want, but I'm coming for you." Thanks so much to anybody who listens to this. As always, I will leave a link to the original fic over on AO3 down in the description. If you like this, please go leave kudos and comments for the original author over there. I will come back with chapter 13 as soon as I get that finished.